Welcome back here on TSL. Today, it's a Monday from Blacksburg. Giovanni Heater joined alongside Kyle Marshak with you once again for our third and final segment of the day. Virginia Tech takes on Minnesota in the final ever ACC Big Ten Challenge. It's been going on since 1999. Virginia Tech's participated in it every year since 2005, with the exception of 2017 and 2013. Virginia Tech plays Minnesota for the second time. They lost the first time they played in 2011 on the road at Minnesota. 7 p.m. tip-offs in Castle Coliseum. Virginia Tech 11.5 point favorites. ESPN giving Virginia Tech an 85% chance to win tonight's ball game. Kyle, your thoughts on the Golden Gophers and this matchup tonight in Castle? Probably the biggest game so far we've seen this season. Besides maybe Penn State, you get to play a Power 5 opponent at home.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just the pedigree with it being a Power 5 opponent, a team that's had some recent success, but this season, projected to finish second to last in the Big Ten, and just not that strong of a start. And they're still competing. They're still a Power 5 program that's worth paying attention to. It's not like Virginia Tech's just going to walk in and walk back out with an easy W. This is still a team that, because of the style of play, might propose something to them. I mean, they are kind of a forward strong play. They have a lot of size in their team, which will be a struggle, especially defensively for a guy like Basili, who's kind of struggled defensively. So there's a lot of different points you have to worry about. I think it starts with preventing the three ball and then hitting the three ball, which have both been struggles for us so far. And Minnesota can shoot a little bit from three. They're at about, a third of the rate, 33% of the time. So not awful. So I think that'll be the first thing you got to look at, preventing the forward play and then preventing the three.
I'm not going to lie to you, Kyle. This game makes me a little bit nervous coming into tonight's matchup against Minnesota, just because we've had a lot of games that have gone down to the wire lately. Charleston Southern went down to the wire in Castle. I mean, you could have said, oh, maybe it was an issue where you're on the road, you're in Charleston. Obviously, the loss to Charleston in the championship of the Classic. Penn State went right down to the wire, and even Old Dominion let them come back late, and they made that a game. So Tech's had some scares lately, including that Charleston Southern game. This is a game that you either have an opportunity to win by 15 or more and make a statement against a Power 5 team, or you're biting your nails at the end. Kind of where do you see this one going?
Yeah, Virginia Tech's playing like one of those teams right now where they're bending a lot but not breaking, and they really look like a springboard the way that they're bending a ton right now, because they've had close competition with teams that, with the talent they've brought in, you kind of expect, especially with the ACC championship last year, you expect them to be a little bit more dominant. I mean, Charleston College, I think that's one of those games where that was a team at home with a tournament they haven't won. Just all the things, all the right things clicked.
They had a rocking atmosphere, too.
Yeah, they did. That was honestly a really packed stadium. I was going to mention that. It was pretty cool to see. And so that's not a loss, although it's not as big a name. They've had a decent start to their season. Yeah. And Charleston, I think, is becoming a pleasant surprise.
They almost beat UNC.
Yeah. So honestly, I'm not that disappointed about a loss to Charleston. They played the way I expected against Charleston Southern. We were on that live stream for Penn State, a game that I think shouldn't have been as close as it was. A lot of sloppy play. It really just comes down to cleaning up the silly mistakes, like the ball distribution, a lot of silly fouls towards the end of that Penn State game. They shot the ball horrifically. I mean, they cannot hit a three for their life right now, and that's with guys like Padula and Couture, who are still shooting as well as they should be somewhat. So it just depends on where the ball kind of lands in the hands of. Basili has been a little bit cold from three lately. Just small stuff like that. They just got to clean up the sloppy play. And the last point that I have to beg for is we need more help from the bench. Lynn Kidd was all 11 points from the bench last game. He cannot be the only guy producing from the bench. We need to see Petit. We need to see Collins, anyone off the bench that could help produce in some form or fashion. Have not seen that the past few games.
Now, not 100% sure when we will see the return, or actually the debut, I should say, of Rodney Rice for Virginia Tech, but that's very much so long awaited. Very looking forward to that is Hokie Nation, and that's going to help tremendously with the backcourt depth. Minnesota comes in at 4-2 on the season. They've beaten Western Michigan by 1 in their season opener. They beat St. Francis Brooklyn, Central Michigan, and Cal Baptist. All wins that they have been decided by less than 10 points besides that St. Francis game. The Golden Gophers' 2 losses are to DePaul and UNLV. DePaul beat them by 16. UNLV beat them by 9. Plain and simple, just not a huge high-quality basketball team right now, because losses aren't fantastic and their wins aren't very convincing either.
Yeah, you'd like to argue that DePaul is still a decent team out of the Big East, but the Big East has been a little bit weaker the past couple of years, and UNLV is UNLV. They have that history, and they are 5-0 right now, but it's UNLV. It's not the program they used to be. Also, not a program you want to lose to right now, especially handily the way UNLV did. They rolled right in there, won by 9, and rolled right back out. And they pretty much had control of that game offensively the entire time. So, yeah, those are both slightly concerning losses for Minnesota. On top of that, honestly, my most concerning game that I look at is a 1-point win over California Baptist in OT. That's just not a game that you should be keeping that close against a team like CBU. So yeah, those 2 losses and then a really, really small margin of victory in OT against California Baptist. They just don't produce offensively the way they should be, being a Big Ten school.
Oh, you talk about that. Minnesota picked to finish 12th out of 14 in the Big Ten this season. They're averaging only 63 points per game. They're allowing 62.5 points per game, which is just kind of an interesting stat there. 14 turnovers a game for the Golden Gophers, 38.7 rebounds a game, 11.8 offensive rebounds a game, which is better than Virginia Tech. They're shooting the ball 42.7% from the field, only shooting it, though, 33% from beyond the arc. And here's the real struggle, 55% from the charity stripe, which is certainly a tough clip there. You flip the script, look at the other side for Virginia Tech. They're averaging 78.1 points per game, allowing 65 points per game. 8 turnovers a game for Virginia Tech. That's much better than 14 on the other side for Minnesota. 34 rebounds a game for Tech. 8.7 offensive rebounds a game. And despite us saying that there have been some poor shooting performances for Tech, they're still shooting the ball 50% from the floor and 36% from beyond the arc, and also shooting at 75% from the free throw line. Tough to get better than that. I mean, you can't complain with that, especially averaging 78 points a contest.
Yeah, 100%. Minnesota's problem is, similar to us at times, where they just can't take care of the ball. But again, I do think, although Minnesota's not that impressive from 3, it comes down to that because we have been kind of living or dying by it a little bit. Although we have had Mutz and Basile kind of taking care of the ball in the paint as much as Virginia Tech has wanted to. But again, I think it comes down to taking care of the ball, needing more bench help. And then, if there is a way that Minnesota wins, my prediction right now is it's because Talon Cooper shoots the lights out from 3 like he has been. I mean, small sample size, but 60% from 3 right now, this deep into the season. Talon Cooper is one of those kids who just has that one skill set that kind of sets him apart from the rest, and that's why he's been helping produce so much offense for this team so far.
Tech always seems to have that guy that just goes off from beyond the arc and drops 30-something points. Kyle, let's get some score predictions going for tonight. Who you got winning it, and kind of what's your final score here?
Man, again, I think Virginia Tech is a team that's been kind of underperforming. So I think they should be able to maintain their home turf as well as they have so far. I'm going to go, I think it might be another sloppy one, so it might be lower scoring. I'm going to go 73-63 Tech.
Okay, 10-point game. I'm going to go, I hate to say it, a little bit closer. I think Minnesota and Penn State are very similar in a lot of ways. Yeah. Tech just had a close one against Charleston Southern. I so badly want to say, hey, they're going to come out here. This is their day to just put a staple in it. We're legit. We're going to blow them out, beat them by 20 points. I just don't know if I see it tonight. I think that might happen against UNC on Sunday. I think there's just more oomph that comes with a conference game. Tech understands that. Tech found a recipe last year to beat that UNC team, which is very, very similar to the UNC team you're going to see on Sunday. A lot of guys return. So I think that could play a factor. So maybe we'll hold that for Sunday. I think this one's a little bit closer. I'm going to go 78-72. Little bit more high scoring, don't quite get to the 80s, just your run-of-the-mill. Tech's averaging 78 points a game. I think they hit their average on the money. Minnesota shoots well, hits more than their average. 78-72, Tech wins it.
That.
I think they advance to 7-1 on the season. Kyle, your final thoughts on tonight's ball game?
I think it's just coming down to taking care of the ball. I understand it's a long trip from Minneapolis out to here, so we'll see how fresh this team looks. But again, you got a couple of kids like Dawson Garcia and Talon Cooper who, when they get hot, they get hot. It's just they don't have much supporting cast members behind them. So we'll see how strong Minnesota looks tonight.
All right, Virginia Tech in action, 7 o'clock tonight. You can watch it on ESPN2. Virginia Tech taking on Minnesota. It's the last ACC Big Ten Challenge. The beautiful thing is Virginia Tech heads into it this year, the final year of it, as the defending ACC tournament champions towards the top of the ACC. For Carter Hill, our producer behind the scenes, for Kyle Marshak on the set with me today, I'm Giovanni Heater saying so long from Blacksburg. We'll see you Wednesday. Enjoy the game tonight.